Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. My name is Jackie Boyle from the Pharmacy Girl, and today I have with me Laura Nice. She is a fourth-year pharmacy student at Northeast Ohio Medical University, a friend and a future colleague. So excited to have you, Laura, on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jackie. I'm excited.
Excited for you to be here. So, Laura, I know you're highly involved in professional organizations as a student, and you also balance your academic work. So can you tell us a little bit about what your professional life looks like?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm currently a fourth-year student pharmacist at Northeast Ohio Medical University. We like to call it NEOMED. So I'm on my APPEs right now, getting ready to graduate in a few months. So it's been really fun to be at NEOMED and be a student and have so many great mentors around who inspire us all to get involved. And we have access to a lot of different student organizations.
Yeah, it's hard maybe sometimes to balance all of that. Do you have any strategies that you make it all work? Like how does it happen? And walk us through maybe some of your time management strategies, because I've got to imagine that you've got some skills.
Yeah, so I live by my planner. So I like to write everything down, and that way I know what's coming up for the week or even for the month. I also, I find that I make things fun. So the things that I'm doing, whether it's going to meetings or setting up time to work with other people on projects, we try to make them fun so it doesn't feel like work, especially as students. And I know at least being in school, it was nice because there would be days where we'd only have class for maybe 4 hours, and then we would have the rest of the day. And I found that having student organization and professional involvement work to do actually helped break up my day a little bit. So I wasn't just going home and studying for 12 hours a day, but it made for a nice break.
Yeah, sometimes the non-studying time is the most rewarding at times,
Yeah.
Especially when you need a break from the action. So Tell us how you got involved in leadership. What's your leadership journey been as a student?
Yeah, so for me, at least with pharmacy professional organizations, it began my first year of school, going to the professional organization fair on our campus, which they hold every fall for incoming pharmacy and medical students. I was fortunate to know some of the older students who advised me to join a couple of the major organizations, one of which was SSHP, or the Student Society of Health System Pharmacists. From there, I just went ahead and applied to be the P1 class representative, and I was fortunate to get that role, where I got to know the executive board better and the other members of SSHP. And then from there, I ran for president-elect, and I was fortunate to be elected to that position, which ended up being like a 3-year term from president-elect, president, and now immediate past president. So this student involvement really kickstarted my involvement at the state and national level. I've been fortunate, again, we have a great relationship with the Ohio Society of Health System Pharmacists, you as current president, and also, attending the state meetings and getting involved on the divisions has been really great to get to know the pharmacists and fellow students. And then also at the national level, I'm fortunate to serve on the ASHP Pharmacy Student Forum Executive Committee, which my mentors and advisors, so you and Dr. Chris Packthos and Dale English, kind of pushed me along to apply for those. I was nervous, applying for a national position, but I did it, and now I'm doing it. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like the importance of mentorship and finding those mentors was really a natural connection once you started getting involved with pharmacy organizations. I know that that was my experience as a student as well. And commonly, Dale English did push me to get more involved. So Dale, if you're listening, thank you for spurring us into action.
Yes. And I remember it was you. For the Pharmacy Student Forum Executive Committee, it was due on a Monday, and the Thursday before, you were like, "Did you apply for that yet?" And I said, "No." I was like, I don't think I'll get it. And he said, you need to apply. And then I got it. So thank you.
No problem. Sometimes the short deadlines will get everyone.
I work better under pressure sometimes.
Yes, exactly. All right. So you've been involved as a student leader really extensively, obviously, at the local, state, and national level. Through your leadership journey, what misconceptions do you think are out there about leadership, and what makes a good leader?
Yeah, so I think sometimes people think that the loudest person in the room or the person who's in charge is the leader and like the one who's making all the decisions. I don't find that to be true at all. I think you can have the quiet people in the room who are equally as great leaders as the people who are loud. I know for me, I'm an introvert. People will say I'm not, but I am. But I found that, setting that example of being that hard worker and, being a follower is just as important. So, yeah.
That's great. I think that, sometimes there might be expectations of what a good leader is, but hearing about different perspectives and having experiences in leadership certainly brings other things into consideration as well. So throughout your leadership experiences, I'm guessing you may have faced some challenges. What do you think are the biggest challenges for holding leadership positions while you're, pursuing your doctor of pharmacy?
So yeah, I think the biggest and most obvious one is time. It is a challenging academic load, balancing that with internships and rotation hours and just trying to also be a human and enjoy life. It is a challenge, but I think there are definitely ways to use time management skills to develop those. I think also for students, there's this fear of commitment, fear of if I sign up for this today, am I going to be doing this every day for the next year? But I think if you, again, learn those time management skills, and I remember starting as president of SSHP, sitting down the first week of school and being like, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I think I even walked into Dr. English's office and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to balance all of this. And, and I also talked to the president Angela Goodhart, who was the president before me. And she said, block off that time during the day and that's when you're going to do it. And other than that, don't reply to those emails. Nothing's urgent. So making that time. And then also for students, that imposter syndrome of who am I to be a leader and who am I? I don't know anything about pharmacy. But I think that's something we need to not worry about and step out there.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you bring that up. When I talked with Elena on the last episode, we also talked about imposter complex. So I have a sense that we might be diving into that topic in the future as well. So having those challenges, you've obviously overcome and done it very well. Where do you think there are opportunities for student leaders, in your opinion?
I think there's lots of opportunities, even if it's in the classroom where you're setting an example of how to work hard, or on those group projects that we all love, learning how to work with different personalities, and you can learn a lot through that. And then also for students, reading books and reading blogs and listening to podcasts. It makes for a great downtime activity. I know with the Pharmacy Girl, we had a book club and we read Grit. And so, when you spread it out over enough time to only read a chapter or two a week, it's really not a lot. And it gives you a really great perspective and kind of fun to read something that's not a textbook. And then also, professional organizations are obviously really great and important to be involved in, but I think there's also opportunity to get involved in your church or other community groups. So whatever really you're interested in, and that way, you are taking time to do things other than pharmacy.
Yeah, that brings up a good point about, community service. We might not immediately think of that as leadership, but I read a great book. Well, I know you read the great book, Total Leadership, talking about the 4 domains of leadership, including leading yourself, your community, at work, at home as well. So are there any other leadership books that you would recommend, or some of your favorites that you wanted to share?
So one that I think really inspired me, I don't know if it's exactly a leadership book, but The Energy Bus by is it John Gordon, right? Yes, maybe Josh Gordon. Anyway,
We'll have to look it up.
It's that short. He writes a lot of little short stories, and this book really focused on being around people that are negative energy and how that kind of sucks the energy out. They call them like energy vampires. And so, I think being a leader, part of that is being excited about things and bringing that energy to the table. So it's always my little reminder of myself of like, if I'm getting down, like don't bring down the energy of the room. And then I'm going to start reading Emotional Intelligence soon. I'm actually really excited. I'm starting my leadership appy next week. So I'll be reading that. I look forward to that. So yeah.
That's a good one. I haven't read The Energy Bus, and I think you've told me about this before, so I need to get on that. I have read Emotional Intelligence, though, and I really like that one. Okay, so thinking back, let's go back to young Laura, before pharmacy school, I don't know, high school, sometime in the past. If you can talk to yourself at that point and advise yourself about leadership or getting into professional associations, what do you think you would have told yourself at that point?
Yes. So younger Laura was very shy and very worried about how other people perceived me. And I think that's a common thing. We all worry what other people think of us. But don't be afraid to step up and don't be afraid to do the things you want to be doing and meet people and walk up, if you're at a meeting, walk up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a student at NEOMED," or, it can be scary, but if you pull that courage for 10 seconds and do something you would normally do, it can lead to something great.
And sometimes it's not as bad as we envisioned it was going to be. So maybe that introduction is not as intimidating as we're perceiving it to be.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So as you got into your leadership journey, was there something that was driving you, or was it just those few interactions that you had during the professional organization fair? What was it that was motivating you to become more involved?
So I think the first thing that motivated me was wanting to learn more about pharmacy. Stepping into this profession, especially as a first year student, you're really not sure what pharmacists do. You don't know anything about drugs. So I took it as an opportunity to learn about the profession and where it's going, what the thought leaders are doing. And then also building that professional network. I knew I would need a job after school. So I wanted to get involved to meet people and see what people across I didn't realize at the time, but I would see what people across the country are doing. And then some of these people became some of my really great friends through the process.
Yeah, I know that networking sometimes goes underrated, but starting to get involved with organizations early, you've obviously been able to build a large network, which has certainly helped open up new opportunities. So one other question, recognizing that time management's important, you figured out a system to do it. Was there ever a time that you felt overwhelmed? Perhaps there was a lot going on academically and you have all these professional organization commitments. Was there ever a time when you felt like, oh my gosh, I've gotten into too much here? And how did you manage that?
Yeah, so, that happens every once in a while. Even last week it happened when I had like a journal club that I was doing the next day, and I was preparing to do some residency interviews, and also told someone I'd read them a letter of recommendation all on the same night, and said I would do some help update some therapeutics cards. So sitting down and like looking at like what's essential, what do I need to do today, and what can I put off till tomorrow or later in the week. And then also like taking a step away. I like to swim. I grew up swimming. So for me, going down to the pool for an hour to kind of clear everything out and be alone in the water has been really good for me.
Great. So self-care has kind of balanced you back out when those times when it's feeling like a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I even remember at school when I was going to school full time, and we would take an exam. The first place I'd go afterwards is the pool. So just release all that. You build up that adrenaline, get all excited for the exam, and you didn't sleep for however long, and so it's been really great.
Oh, good. So how do you think, you've interacted with a lot of student leaders. How do you think student leaders can help support each other?
So I think we don't really focus a lot on mentorship and sponsorship amongst students. I know we're encouraged to find mentors who are already pharmacists, but I think there's a huge opportunity to find mentors, whether that's someone who's a few classes ahead of you or even in your own class. And then also the sponsorship component. I don't think we're always quick to talk other people up as students. And, fortunately at NEOMED, I haven't experienced this, but I would imagine at some programs it's competitive and people are, vying to be at the top of their class. But I think we really all need to support each other because at the end of the day, we're all going to be pharmacists caring for patients. And so we should all help each other become the best pharmacists. And then also just being present, so when other students are hosting events, be present at those meetings and support those students. I think that's huge.
Yeah, that network that you're already building while you're in school certainly will continue into your professional life. So supporting each other now can certainly help you in the future. One last question, because I know you're in the midst of residency interviews. So how do you think, given all your leadership experience as a student, how do you think that has benefited you as you've experienced, at least one interview at this point? How do you think that those outside of the academic wall experiences have helped you in your residency search and application and interview process?
Oh my gosh, so much. Obviously school is important and we all learn the necessary knowledge to be pharmacists. But for me, I think I've been very fortunate to gain this bigger, broader perspective of pharmacy practice, especially through my involvement with like ASHP, OSHP, and SSHP. I was fortunate to go on a rotation, an APPI rotation to ASHP headquarters, where I had the opportunity to meet a lot of really great pharmacists who work there, but then also attended their policy week. And so to hear what these people are doing across the country and make those connections, and then also attending mid-year was huge. I had some really great conversations both in the showcase and out of the showcase with some of my potential programs that I'm now interviewing for. So I think it's so important to make those connections, even starting late P3 year, if not, by mid, I think you should meet the program before mid-year. And that was some advice that was given to me. And I'm very glad people said that because by mid-year, it's too late.
Yes. Well, good luck with all of your interviews, Laura. And thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.